All right, well, we're at 12:01, so I'd like to welcome everyone to our Clayton County Energy District's monthly Lunch and Learn. I'm Joleen Jansen, and I work as the Program Manager for the Clayton County Energy District. And also joining me today is the Chair of the Clayton County Energy District, Dr. Jim Osterhaus. Jim, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone.
So Jim and I are going to talk to you a little bit today about the electric vehicles and charging stations and how they're going to how we believe they might affect tourism here in Clayton County. So I'm going to get started in sharing some slides, but before I get started, I just want to make the announcement to everyone that we are recording today's Lunch and Learn. Just so you know that this is all being recorded, and we will share our presentation and the recording of the presentation on our website a little bit later. So now I'm going to go back to sharing some slides and we'll get started. So again, we're talking today about electric transportation and the Clayton County tourism sector. And before we get started, I kind of want to go through why the Energy District it would be interested at all in electric transportation.
Entering hour 3 of Zoom.
I was going to say, you've been rocking.
Maybe I'm going to ask just a couple of things to have everybody that's attending the Lunch and Learn, if they would mute themselves, and there will not be a need for you to be on camera, but you sure can. And we will take questions at the end, and if you'd like to go on, put your video back on at that time, that would be fine. All right, so let me get started here. So just a little bit about the Clayton County Energy District to begin with. First of all, you met Jim. He is the chair of our organization. The vice chair is Randy Length over in St. Olaf. The treasurer is Elaine Funke in Edgewood, Dr. Zeichel in Elkader, Ron Kaiser, Garnavillo area, Tom Klingman, Volga area, and Kathy Cater is up in the Monona region. And I think Ron and Kathy are on the call. Are any other board members on the call today? If you are and you would like to just say hello, that would be great. I'm glad that you could join us. Okay, so essentially our mission to operate the Clayton Energy District, we are a nonprofit organization. We're a volunteer group, except for me, who works as a program manager, and Ashley Altoff, who is our communications specialist. But we are committed to strengthening the communities that we live in by leading, implementing, and accelerating the inclusive and local clean energy transition. So by putting boots on the ground in Clayton County, we believe that we can positively affect the local economy by reducing energy costs, and that we can slow climate change by promoting wise energy use. We want to include everyone in this clean energy transition. We think that we need to electrify everything, and then we need to clean up electricity. So that's sort of what we're all about. It's a hyper focus on the clean energy transition by leading it, implementing, and accelerating it. So energy districts are we're not the only energy district in existence. We're a network of energy districts. We refer to ourselves as the Clean Energy Districts of Iowa, but all of us, while we do things a little bit different in each county, we do so at the intersection of clean energy, prosperity, and climate stewardship. And we truly believe that there is this concept of where green meets green, making prosperous communities and in protecting the environment at the same time. So this is the network of energy districts as we speak. Sorry, I'm kind of running two things here. I want to let a couple people in. And so I want to go back on that slide. We believe in what's called a universal and local approach. We think universally this all works for people, that climate stewardship and energy prosperity, that green meets green, that can happen everywhere, but it is a local approach led by people that live in the communities where this can occur. And so this is where energy districts are in the state of Iowa today. We also know of a couple of energy districts in Southwest Wisconsin and some in some groups that are talking about an energy district in Northeast Illinois. But in Howard County, Winneshiek County, Allamakee, Clayton, Delaware, Dubuque, Jackson, Lynn and Johnson County, and in Polk County. Okay. And essentially the model of an energy district is all about, like I said, that green meets green, energy prosperity and climate stewardship. But essentially we kind of all use the same flywheel of change. The idea of when we make some plans for energy, we deliver those plans for energy use and conservation to the public through events like this and other things. That will lead to a market transformation, an increase in electric vehicle sales, an increase in people who do weatherization on buildings, people who sell LED light bulbs, people who sell solar panels. That market transformation then also requires a need for advocacy for people groups like ours that will actually advocate for that market transformation, make sure policy makes sense to support that clean energy transition. By doing all of those things, we will build more ready or resilient communities, which will then start that flywheel again. So that's sort of our principle and how we operate. So today, again, we're going to talk about the idea of wanting to include everyone and to electrify everything and to decarbonize electricity or clean up electricity through clean power like wind and solar. One of the major sectors that affects the clean energy transition is in transportation. So our Energy District Board last January, in January 2020, kind of talked about some priorities for the year.
Any way to get the sound louder in this?
And so we were talking about what our priorities for the year for our organization would be. And we believed that we saw some room for electric vehicle, at least attention to electric vehicles. And let me explain further here. So why would that be the case? First of all, we know that EVs
Didn't know what to really do.
are on the road and will be on the road. Just interrupt. Hey, Ron, this is Joleen. If you wouldn't mind putting yourself on mute, that would be good.
Yeah, okay.
So electric vehicles are on the road and they will be on the road. There are electric vehicles here in Clayton County. There are electric vehicles in use in Iowa and across the country. According to autonews.com, by 2025, EVs will account for about 1/3 of all global auto sales. And by 2030, there will be more electric vehicle sales than traditional internal combustion engine vehicle sales. And just for a point of explanation here, internal combustion engine, if you see that referred to in the rest of these slides as ICE, that's what we're referring to as just a traditional gas or fossil fuel burning vehicle. Just last month, Car and Driver put out a report covering the fact that General Motors is going to accelerate their electrification fleet timeline by including 30 electric vehicles for sale in their fleet by 2025. They're going to invest $7 billion into that effort between now and 2025. So there is no doubt that that we will be seeing more and not less electric vehicles on the road. So what is the advantage of using electric vehicles? This is straight off the U.S. Department of Energy's website. First of all, electric vehicles are energy efficient. EVs convert about 77% of the electric energy that they take from the grid to power the wheels of a vehicle, while conventional gasoline or internal combustion engines only convert about 12 to 30% of the energy that they have to power the wheels. Electric vehicles are environmentally friendly. There are no tailpipe emissions, period. They run on batteries. And over 10 years of operation, a fossil fuel burning car will emit about 33 more tons of carbon dioxide than an average EV. Certainly, until we completely clean electricity or decarbonize electricity, there is going to be some emissions involved in an electric vehicle. But if you own solar, for example, I drive a Chevy Bolt, and most often I charge my battery of the car during the day, and our house is running on solar, and most of the energy consumed during the day is the energy that we generate from our solar panels. So performance benefits are pretty remarkable. Electric motors are almost silent. They smoothly operate, and they have very strong acceleration, and they clearly require less maintenance. There's no need for oil changes, transmission replacement, or any of those things. And the other benefit is that they do reduce our energy dependence. Electricity is a domestic energy product. But there are some disadvantages, and that's why we're here today to talk. The disadvantages are that there is this thing called range anxiety. An electric vehicle will only at max can get 300 miles to a full charge. And then when it's time to charge a vehicle, it's about an hour. It can take up to an hour to all day. So just on the pictures below, this picture here on the far left is just to plug it into 110 outlet. That charger comes with the car, at least the Chevy Bolt that I own. And if I were to try to charge my car that way, it would probably take the better part of 2 days to get a full charge. This is the charging system that we put into our garage, and how I charge our vehicle. That's a level 2 charger that you'll see there, and it'll charge our car in about 6 hours. And then you see here, this is actually at Alliant Energy's office in, oh shoot, what was the name of that town? It's near Dodgeville. Wisconsin, and that's a DC fast charger, and that charged our car and put about 80% charge on in about 45 minutes. So now we're going to get to the idea of what the Clayton County Energy District has to do with the tourism sector here in Clayton County. Right now, Clayton County is what we would call an EV charging station desert. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the charging desert, but first talk about the fact that there's a connection between that desert and the tourism industry in Northeast Iowa, particularly Clayton County. Here's Clayton County. This is a chart of the number of arrivals recorded by an organization called Arrival List, and they counted arrivals in Clayton County in 2019 of about 205,000 arrivals, almost 206,000, and we're just in the Northeast Iowa zone here. We're just a little short of Winneshiek County, home to Decorah. Alameda comes in pretty close, and real arrivals in significant numbers you'll see here in Dubuque in the million, 1.4 million or 1.1. Okay, so tourism is a source of our economy, affects the local economy.
80,000 per year in Delaware County.
And then I'm just going to ask everyone again, if you're listening to this lunch and learn, if you would go ahead and mute yourself, that would be great. Okay, so Clayton County's Economic Development Office says that between July 19th and July of 2019 and July of 2020, we received about 10,000 requests for tourist information. And these numbers are somewhat interesting. Highway 3 and 13 in Strawberry sees about 28 cars per day. And in Elkader, at the intersection of Highway 13 and High Street, they're seeing about 4,650 cars a day. Again, I talked about those 2019 arrivals.
Joleen Jansen.
And also Clayton County happens to be rated second in the state of Iowa as far as scenic byways, just below Alameda County. So we have a lot of reasons. We clearly do have a lot of tourists. We have reasons why the tourists come here. But the interesting deal is that we happen to be in the middle of, or in the Driftless Center, we are actually a EV charging station desert. Every little pinpoint map point that you see here is a place where an electric vehicle car owner can charge their vehicle. And you see right here with Prairie du Chien, there are no charging stations. The closest charging station, or the only charging station right now to the public, is located at Brown's Sales and Leasing in Elkader. And it's located in between the two service stalls or bays there at Ford Sales and Leasing or Brown's Sales and Leasing in Elkader. Not particularly glamorous spot and not necessarily completely accessible. And there are other chargers just outside of Clayton County up at the Alameda Clayton RAC, and that's a bit open to the public. And on our Facebook page, I was having a conversation with someone who says that Align does have a charger behind their building in Elkader. And I actually didn't go put my eyes on that, but I'm sure it's there, as it seemed like a pretty credible source. So as of right now, that's where if you have an EV vehicle and you need to charge it and you're outside of your range, right now, those are the places in Clayton County that you could go to charge. We thought that there was some room or a window to go through on that, to kind of solve that problem. And so we worked with applied for a grant to the Upper Mississippi Gamin Corporation. And we applied for a grant that the total project cost is about $67,000. $67,000. We landed a grant with the Upper Mississippi Gaming Corps of $51,075. That was to purchase 5 dual port level 2 pedestal chargers that have up to 19.2 kilowatts of charging output. Each station is about $8,300 and it can charge, they have the capability or the capacity to charge up to 80 miles per hour. Currently, there aren't a lot of EV vehicles on the market right now that would accept that much, that fast of a charge, but these dual port charging stations would have that capacity. So this is what we went through quite a lot of evaluation of which charging station company to go with, and we landed on Blink. The charging station that you see there on the left is that dual port charger that you'll see going in each of the towns that I'm going to talk to you about here in just a minute. But essentially 2 cars could be charging at the same time. And this little LCD monitor will basically allow you to interact with the network system. In addition, it's a point of advertising for the towns that are going to host these charging stations. The city, last summer we spent some time meeting with the city councils of Elkader, McGregor, Strawberry Point, Gutenberg, and Marquette. We also met with the town council in Monona, and 5 towns listed there did go agree to partner with us on hosting a charging station. Their obligation is essentially to provide a location for the charger, which you're going to see those locations coming up here in the next slides, to provide the power and the electricity for the station. They do need to have Wi-Fi access to the station so that that you can interact and actually pay for the power that you use as an EV car owner. And And they need to, obviously, they will be accepting the transfer of ownership. Those, we've actually just put in, paid for the chargers. They're en route to the energy district. We're going to deliver them to Elkader, McGregor, Strawberry, Gutenberg, and Marquette, and oversee the installation of those charging stations this spring. And then they will create accounts with the Link charging network, and then we'll work out the system that they'd like to use to use the charging station to sell the power. So this is where they're going to be. That's Mayor Evans in Strawberry Point. I believe that is going to be on Commercial Street, or just to the north of City Hall there. There's Mayor Pope, Josh Pope in Elkader, and he is in the city lot there in front of Freedom Bank, and next to Wilkie's there, and right next to Founders Park. So all of these charging stations are within walking distance to their downtown districts, and are strategically located, obviously, where there's a source of power, and secondly, where people are going to easily get to the downtown districts and enjoy the town for a while, because as I mentioned, one of the disadvantages of an electric vehicle, but maybe an advantage for tourism, is that it takes a little bit of time to get your car charged. There's the group in Gutenberg. I think they finally landed on that location, and that will be downtown near the municipal building. And I believe that will be, Jim, you can help me out, but not far from, just right off the downtown district. Is that right, Jim?
It's within a block or two of everything, everything that the tourist areas in town. So it's very close.
Yep. Okay, great. McGregor is the same way on Main Street there. And then we're looking at in Marquette at the park there, right underneath the bridge. So that's the locations of the where these charging stations are going to be located. I think what we're going to do next is have Jim go out and show us his Tesla, and just kind of give for those on the call who are a little unfamiliar of, what do these EV cars, how do they look? What are their advantages? He's going to go out and give us a little bit of a tour. And he's going to run through a few numbers for his Tesla compared to an average internal combustion engine car, as far as mileage and as far as cost to operate in a year, assuming 20,000 miles per year. So Jim, are you on your way out there?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to stop the share here and let you take over.
I'll just show you, I'm in my garage. I can't show you the rest of the garage because it's a mess, but that's my charging station. That's a 240 volt. And its capacity is 60 amps, but it at a time. This is my test because
Not getting his picture.
Yeah, Jim.
now it's being difficult. I'll show you in a second, but there's a trunk in front, and all along this front and on the sides here are and in the trunk, there's a
There
rear
we go.
trunk, and then underneath, there's another trunk. And and you can see looking in here, there's the room with the seats down. Getting in the car, it locks automatically when you walk away, but
Well, okay. I think I'm gonna take this back over, Jim. I think we kind of lost Jim there. So that is basically, maybe I'll go back and share those slides real quick, that last slide. Just to go over the advantages. These are Jim's calculations, but I think they hold true for most of us EV car owners. One, you just clearly get more mileage per gallon, and the cost to operate based on 20,000 miles a year. This is if you're paying averaging 11 cents a kilowatt hour. Of course, in Jim's case, he solar powers as well, and so that cost is even less when you're talking about operating, compared to $1,667 for like a Honda Civic that would get 30 miles to the gallon. So I'm gonna stop sharing slides and just go ahead and oh no, Jim's back there. Hey Jim, we're gonna just take some questions now, if you can hear me. So that's basically what we have to say. Oh, there's the car again.
I think I'm getting too far away.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah.
I was going to show you some features on the monitor, but I think our Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Yeah, it seems like maybe for whatever reason, some days, yesterday when we ran through this, it went really well. Okay, so
according to EPA. Go ahead, Joleen.
Okay, so what I was going to do is just go ahead and open this up now to questions. If you have any questions about running a Tesla or a Chevy Bolt, we'd be glad to answer them, but also more if you have questions about our project, timelines, that kind of thing, happy to answer them.
Yeah, Joleen, this is Bill Frommold. I've got a question for you. I'm going to presume that we'd like to have the
Okay, Bill, I didn't hear the maybe you want to chat your question and we'll maybe handle it that way. I do see Michaela made a comment. Michaela is the program coordinator for the Dubuque County Energy District, and she says that she thinks it's extremely important to recognize how the current appointment at the national level impact our conversations here locally. And I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Michaela. I'm assuming you mean just with the.
Sure.
Go ahead, Michaela.
So the current energy administration that's coming in had a previous focus in Michigan on the auto industry, and conversations have continued to reflect that she may be really focusing on pushing auto industry, conversations around EVs faster than we probably previously anticipated it to be. So I think that's important. We recognize efforts like this to provide charging stations specifically for tourism, as a statewide conversation as well as a federal conversation as we continue to move forward.
Yes, I think I got you now. So I think you're referring to former, not senator, but former governor of Michigan, Jennifer Granholm. And yeah, right. I mean, that doesn't hurt to have the former governor of Michigan now be the Secretary of Energy, or nominated to be Secretary of Energy. And so, yeah, that's exciting to think about that. I also maybe dropped one part of the story, and that is I think we talked about that range. We are driving a Chevy Bolt. It gets on really nice days where we don't need to use the car's heater. we can get maybe 200 miles of range. And so, to drive down to see our kids, let's say in Cedar Falls and back, we wouldn't be able to do that on one charge. And so we need a place to charge when we get there. And if there's not one, we're not going, or we're going to take a different vehicle. And so that's one of the things is, as we think about people coming up to Clayton County and the increased EV ownership, the idea that, those people who have electric vehicles, they don't go on a trip without looking at the charging maps, using those apps to find where the nearest charging station is. And so now that there will be actually 5 charging stations here in Clayton County, they will automatically be listed on those charging maps. And so people that were thinking about coming up to Northeast Iowa and thinking that there's a desert of chargers, now with these stations going up, we will be on the maps and very visible. And so there'll be lots of reasons for EV vehicle owners to consider coming to Clayton County.
Joleen.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Rick Floyd, and I am from South Carolina, but my wife is from Gutenberg. And this past summer, we drove our Tesla up, and like you said, it was a desert. We had to go to Dubuque, to charge our car. So we were very excited about having a facility inside the city of Gutenberg that we can charge while we're there. It makes me more at ease being able, or knowing that I'll have a place to charge in town now. So thank you for the initiative. Oh my
gosh, we need to get you on commercial. That's awesome, Rick. Thanks for sharing that. That's really a great story. Wow, cool.
Well, I'd like to say thank you too, because when we were in Dubuque, we talked to several people at the Tesla charging station, and their only reason for going there was to charge up and spend the day spending money and going to the river. And we were talking about Gutenberg, and they said we would go to Gutenberg if there were a place to charge. So I think it's very important to have one in your city.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and they are going to be level 2 chargers. They're not going to be those fast DC3 chargers. They're a pretty penny, but it'll charge your Tesla, and I would say probably 4 hours, maybe 2. I guess I'm not exactly sure how fast the Tesla charges, but it could be 4 hours still. But it also depends on how they get wired and that kind of thing. And that's maybe Mayor Frumelt can weigh in on that.
I wanted to ask you a question here. I'm going to presume that you would prefer to have the charging stations in locations where they're very visible and high traffic. And what I'd like to do is eventually have our charging station located on Highway 52. And what I'd like to do is steal some of the potential traffic for Josh Pope up in Galcator before people get there.
Yeah, or McGregor or Marquette. Yeah, the location of the chargers is purely up to the town councils and where you want to locate them. It's not, you want to be as strategic as you can with placement of those chargers. But the good news is we live in a digital world. And so all of those charging stations will be pinpointed, and those apps will literally voice command the driver to the charger. So they won't be in the ether. They will be on a map. And so the PlugShare map, I don't know if anybody if you're not an EV owner, you maybe haven't looked at PlugShare, and there's a lot of, I have a feeling that EV car drivers in 2025 will not find it nearly as challenging to find charging stations. Right now, it's taking a lot to get all the ducks in a row as far as using what application to find charging stations, but at the same time, there's going to be that many more of them as well. But certainly, strategic placement of those charging stations in our tourist towns makes a lot of sense. And getting people to them, that's part of the project for sure.
Right.
Harry Blobom, our former esteemed chair, is weighing in with a question, and he says, we want to compare apples to apples. Can you make a comment about the comparison of the miles per gallon numbers provided by Jim for his Tesla and how that comparison is made fair? I love that question. And Jim is the expert at explaining that. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jim.
What I've done is I use the EPA's conversion for, and this is kind of technical, but I use the EPA's conversion of kilowatt hours to gallons to a gallon of gas, and 1 gallon of gas is the equivalent of 33.7 kilowatt hours of energy. So both Jolene's and my vehicle show what the consumption in kilowatt hours is. Mine was 0.286 kilowatt hours per mile. So if you're going, you got to again compare apples to apples. 20,000 miles in a year, you multiply that out, and that's how you get your equivalent miles per gallon, and that would be 1 mile times over 0.286 kilowatt hours times 33.7 kilowatt hours. So just divide the 33.7 by 0.286 and you get 118 miles per gallon. And of course, if you compare that with a vehicle that gets 30 miles per gallon over there you have your miles per gallon right then and there, and it's simple to multiply that or divide that out to get how much gas
annual operating costs. And I think you were figuring $2.50 a gallon
right
for average price, and I think
right.
you figured 10 cents
a kilowatt hour. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great.
So you do have to make some assumptions on this, but I tried to take it in the middle range, 10 cents a kilowatt hour. I was just talking to a friend. He gets his electricity from a rural electric off-peak hours at 4 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's pretty cheap. But then other places, if you plug in, you might be paying 14 cents a kilowatt hour. So.
And back to the chargers, it's interesting some of the discussions that have come up with the various city partners in this as to how they're going to operate them. Some of them are talking about, just giving away the electricity and just have it be an amenity of visiting their town. Others are talking about using it as a revenue generator. And the other thing is that I think I kind of, glossed over it, but I do think it's great. They will all have the opportunity to use them as advertising potential on the little LCD monitor. So that's kind of cool. If there's a show in town or a concert that night in the park or whatever, they'll be able to use it that way and promote their town that way. And that's all part of included in the cost of the charging station. And then I think there was another thing I wanted to say about the operation of them. Maybe not. I think that might have been it. Yeah, so do we have any other questions from the group?
Just real quickly, Joleen, Jim mentioned the EPA site. I've been on that site, but I can't remember exactly. If there's somebody else that wants to get at that site and make some comparisons with different EVs.
Yeah.
Is that just EPA.gov? I don't remember exactly for sure.
Do you know, Jim? Otherwise I can.
I didn't actually go to the EPA. I got a printout from them or a readout. I just asked Google how many kilowatt hours are there in a gallon of gasoline, and it took me right there.
Oh, okay. All right. I know that I've been there, but I can't remember the site, but I know it's a really, really useful site. So if folks search Google around a little bit, they can find it.
Yep. Yeah.
In that, back in one of the first slides, I talked about what the energy districts, how we work in that flywheel of change. And one of the things that we do work on is advocacy. And one of the recent state policies or state code regarding electric vehicle ownership and how it does actually play into EV charging stations and the build out of the infrastructure needed to power electric vehicles, there is a little bit of an onerous tax coming out. As of right now, the way the state law reads, first of all, with the registration, a lot of people ask us, and we've been asking this question on our Facebook page, and I'm surprised we didn't hear it today, but there is this question of if EVs aren't going to power or fuel up at gas stations, then they're not paying the gas tax, which is used to go to the road use tax fund. So, and that's a fair question. Electric vehicle owners do have an obligation to pay their fair share of the road use tax fund. So, or fee. So the way that gets covered is at registration of the vehicle, and EV car owners pay, and Jim will do a better job of this, but we pay $130 on top of the way you, a flat fee. Not, that'll be the most. I don't think in 2020 we're not paying a full 130, but in 2023 we will be, in addition to the registration formula. But the other thing, and Jim, maybe you want to correct me there, and then I'll go to the sales tax part.
Well, I think you're accurate there, and I just want to say that EV owners, they want to pay their fair taxes on the roads, because what good is having an EV if you don't have a road to drive on? So right, it's almost like a penalty fee, and which I think it would be better if they wanted to tax you, just do an odometer tax, and I mean it, and really, if you just do an odometer tax, EV owners will actually be paying for in-state and out-of-state driving, but somewhere along the line they do have to pay.
They have to pay. It turns out, I think, I've talked to other electric vehicle owners, and it does, this supplemental fee that we get charged is quite onerous. It's more than what you would maybe pay if you were just driving a fossil fuel burning vehicle. This is actually how it works. So yeah, can you guys see my slide here of Iowa tax and tags? Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically in January, a battery electric vehicle will pay a $65 additional fee. In January of 2021, just next month, we'll begin paying $97.50, and then 2022, excuse me, is $130. I also think that, or not think, I know that in 2022, we will begin to be paying EV charging station owners will have to collect sales tax as it is right now, but it is such a small sales tax. And it is actually currently applying to anybody that has a battery charger, except for household chargers. So if you have a charger at your place of business as an amenity, or for workers, for your workforce, in theory, at this point, there is going to be a charge, a sales tax collection requirement on you to do that. I'm not sure if that's going to continue. We are really advocating against that. It makes sense that maybe those on large sellers of, that's their main business, just, convenience stores, and truck stops and that kind of thing, that perhaps they would charge that sales tax. They have the mechanisms in place to collect that sales tax, but hotels and businesses that are providing, like I said, the EV charging as an amenity, they maybe wouldn't put those chargers in. And again, there's a lot of money to put those chargers in, but if they all of a sudden got to impede upon their operation by collecting sales tax and accounting for that, that could get onerous, and it could start to, put a roadblock up to the idea of this transition that we're all trying to make happen. So just that's one little advocacy piece for today. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to come and listen to the summary of our project. We're really excited about the project, and we're kind of proud that we were able to make it happen. We do think it is going to make a difference in Clayton County, and Rick pretty well attested to it, will for him anyway. So glad we could help you out there, Rick. Does anybody else have any other questions? I will just leave it at this, that if you like what you're hearing and the work that we're doing with the Energy District, we are in the middle of our campaign fundraising season. And so you can visit Clayton County, claytoncounty.energydistrict.org, and it's pretty painless to make a quick donation to the Clayton County Energy District. We are a nonprofit organization, and we're only able to do this through donations from people who think we're doing the right thing. So support the Energy District if you can, claytoncounty.energydistrict.org. And I just got one more comment in, and that comes from Art Johnson saying that there are 2 charging stations at Community Savings Bank in Manchester. Yeah, we actually consulted with them when we were designing our project. But yeah, so they're maybe not used as much as you would think right now, but we know that in the years to come, people are going to be using these charging. So whether we want EV cars on the road or not, they're coming. They make an awful lot of sense. So, hey, thank you everybody for coming, and appreciate it. Bye, Jim. Thanks a lot, Jim. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim and
You bet.
Joleen.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Happy holidays.
To you.
Good to see you, Harry.
Thank you. Good to see you. You
Yeah.
look healthy.
Bye.
Hey, Ron. See you later.